Howdy everyone, welcome to Wormhole. Today we're gonna take a trip into the past and explore some old Minecraft Java versions to uncover some oddities they contain. I won't make the affront of introducing the best-selling game of all time. People have been playing Minecraft for almost 16 years, since the classic version. With each year passing, it improved in many ways. Terrain generation, better code, quality of life features, and more. But some of these additions came with unintended effects on the game's behavior, especially in the very early days when the team working on the game was much smaller. Contrary to the vast majority of games today, almost all versions of Minecraft are available to play in the official launcher. From the early alphas to weird experimental snapshots, Mojang gave us all the tools to explore these peculiar bugs from the past. So, without further ado, let's get into it. What gave me the idea for this video was a beloved activity of mine on Minecraft servers that have been here for many years: illegals hunting. Illegal items are currently unobtainable in survival mode due to either their inaccessibility or their invalid enchantments or stats. So, throughout the versions, some bugs allowed for the creation of very strange items. I won't go over all of them since there are too many, but if you're interested, feel free to go read the Minecraft Discontinued Features wiki. That's where I got most of my sources and ideas for this video. Some really weird things are scattered amongst the oldest versions, starting in Beta 1.6 Test Build 3. This version wasn't meant for the public, so if you start a world in this version, you'll find yourself in front of a line of chests. These chests contain every block and items present in the game at this time. You can already notice some out-of-place elements. Between the unnamed items and odd textures, you can find totally normal things like a single portal frame, stage 1 crops, lit furnace, or stationary liquids, I guess. The bed and doors suffered in these chests, now being reduced to have their sizes. You can still craft these items to appear normally, but the chest versions are very buggy. If you break half a door or bed, it will drop as a normal, non-stackable object. Redstone is also particular in this version. You have not very kid-friendly redstone dust, offline redstone torch. Oh, and you can craft armor with a fire present in the chest too. Since we're crafting, let's make some wooden slabs. They may not seem illegal, but wait, let me show you. These are called alpha slabs, even though they were introduced in Beta 1.3. The item ID is a stone slab with a data value of 2, giving the wooden slab stone properties. When taken to recent versions, they turn into petrified oak slabs. Lastly, we have the only 3 illegal items that can be transferred to the latest version: the monster spawner, bedrock, and farmland. There are other ways to get these in later versions, but since they're in these chests, I felt like it was worth mentioning. The spawners are fully working and spawn pigs, and the farmland can be placed and used too. Let's upgrade to Beta 1.9 Pre-Release 3, launched only a month before the official release of Minecraft. In this update, the end was planned but not released yet, causing strongholds and end portals to appear but leading to nowhere. To be sure to find these new additions, gigantic glass pillars are indicating the stronghold's position, with one pillar leading directly to the portal room. These early portal frames aren't functional, even though you can place As of Ender in it. However, you can blow the portal with TNT to acquire the end portal frames, fully functional in later versions. Jumping to Beta 1.9 Pre-Release 3-1, and let's jump into the lava real quick. Upon death, or creating a new world, a debug inventory is given to the player, containing everything we need for our next illegal item: enchanted tools. What? You'll see. Also, keep an eye on this grey mess because it will be important shortly. The enchantment system was introduced in Beta 1.9 Pre-3, but had a major problem until the next pre-release. If you were to enchant something, let's say a sword, you will get the enchanted enchantment. Pretty neat, huh? But also pretty useless, as it gives feather falling one. But before upgrading again, I'd like to take a little trip to the nether. Coolest way to light a portal. So, I mentioned this grey thing earlier, but what is it exactly? I can't tell you its name because if I hover on it, the game crashes. But I can show you. Yeah, it's an end portal block. Let's make this nether a bit more chaotic real quick. This feels wrong. Alright, mess done. Let's go a bit closer in time to the 12W41A snapshot for Minecraft 1.4.2. It's gonna be very short, very simple and funny. Take an anvil, put an item in the slot, and remove the item's name. That's all. It works with everything too. In the 12W49A snapshot for Minecraft 1.4.6, a glitch also involving the anvil allows for some pretty special items. This release introduced the enchantment books, which are normally used to enchant weapons, tools and armor. However, a small error was present in the code. It seems like there's no checks to see if the item in the anvil slot is allowed to be enchanted. This results in the enchantment books being applicable to any possible items. Fast forward to 13W38B, a 1.7.2 snapshot. The loot table for some mobs that don't drop anything have been changed in this version. If you encounter and murder a bat, small slime, silverfish, villager, and the ender dragon itself, they will have a chance to drop air, or more precisely, tile.air.name. This item presents a classic missing texture model that you may recognize from other games like Charismod, but doesn't seem to have one when holding the item. It can only be seen in the inventory in these versions, as it disappears from it in the next update though. As I'm already in the end, I'm at the perfect place to obtain one of the last illegal items I'll be talking about today. Let's jump to 15W47C, a snapshot for 1.9. A lot has changed item-wise in 1.7 and 1.8. Mojang decided to change how blocks handle data. It led to the removal of various item forms of some blocks, such as the unlit redstone torch, various crops and stem stages, stationary fluids, nether and end portal blocks, and many more. Anyway, so what exactly are we doing in front of this portal? Since I slayed the dragon to obtain some air, I now have the exit portal available. The 1.9 brought the horrible combat update, but also modified the end, which changed the terrain generation as well as adding new items. Amongst these items can be found the end crystals, which existed previously but couldn't be obtained nor crafted. When crafted, they gain the ability to resummon the ender dragon, and that's exactly what we're gonna do here. By trying to summon the ender dragon once again, and then breaking a crystal to stop the process, the exit portal enters a glitched state, in which the bedrock block at the top of a tiny pillar has a chance to break and drop in the overworld. After the release of 1.13, the majority of the fun blocks we've talked about are gone due to the flattening. Previously, all the blocks that had different forms or states had the same ID, with a different value attached to it, corresponding to said form. For example, an oak plank would have the ID of planks or 5, while a spruce plank would have planks 1 or planks spruce as its ID. Now all blocks have their separate unique ID. Goodbye lit furnace. The last illegal items are more of an honorable mention section. We've covered enchanted items and feather falling ones, tool and stuff, but there's a lot more we can do to make these stats even goofier. For instance, there's various versions in which you can make negative durability or double protection armor. Understacked items were obtainable until a 1.9 snapshot and disappeared completely in a 1.11 snapshot, and overstacked items were fixed in a 1.20.5 snapshot. Since there's a lot of different versions to navigate through to get all of these, I thought it would be better as a separate little thing at the end of this section. We've uncovered the weird items the game had, but I still didn't talk about something we have in front of us since the beginning. Since the very first time we ever spawned in across all Minecraft's player's journey, there is in front of us an evolving landscape with intriguing biomes, and we got to learn and love the world generation. Back in the classic days, only 512 by 512 worlds were available. This was, however, changed in early 2010 with the release of the Invalid version, implementing infinite terrain generation. The classic terrain is used, but coded to replicate in various ways infinitely, or at least almost. Due to how programming works, there can't really be infinite terrain. It's a bit complicated, but I'm gonna try to simplify it as much as possible. Some blocks and entities data like positions, states, and more are stocked using different data types. We'll take a look at the ones called integers here. The mathematical limit for 32-bit integers is this. Consider it as a hard limit. Anything beyond that number is invalid for the game and leads to errors and crashes. This limit results in various quirks scattered around the game's history and led to Minecraft's most famous glitch to date. I could not let this subject slide to the side. Since I first knew about the Farlands many years ago, I've been fascinated by these ginormous, obscure caves carved in ever-extending walls, appearing millions of blocks away from the spawn. We're gonna talk numbers and math real quick, because I fell into this rabbit hole recently, and I'd love to explain some of the mechanics behind the game's code. If you don't want to get bored by that, feel free to go to the next section. The chapters are on the video and in the description below, but I promise it's gonna be interesting. So, to overly simplify, the world generation of Minecraft uses a system called Perlin noise maps. Basically, the terrain is composed of many layers. The main ones that dictate the terrain's shape are called high and low noise maps, which are blended together by a noise selector. This noise selector takes every coordinate on the map and multiplies them individually by a defined interpolation value, or noise frequency, which is 171.103 for Minecraft. Then it subtracts the result to the same number with the decimal point rounded off. It gives a final value of either 0 or 1. For every 0, the low noise map is used, and for every 1, it's the high noise. If you remember from a bit ago, I said the 32-bit integer limit led to the Farlands. The particularity of integers is that they are always a round number. 171.103, for example, is a float, which is a data type containing decimals. That doesn't have the same restrictions as an integer. When the noise selector tries to get rid of the decimal, it effectively subtracts a float number with a decimal to a round number. If the float's number is less than the 32-bit integer limit, the value will always be 0 or 1. However, if the float's number is greater, the integer's number will stay at its hard limit, resulting in a decimal greater than 1. When it happens, the noise maps completely break and aren't able to blend in efficiently anymore. But why does it happen at around 12 million blocks? While it may seem like a random number at first, a simple equation allows us to understand the particularity of it. If we multiply 12,550,824 by 171.103, we obtain a number really close to the 32-bit integer limit, which then breaks the noise map settings. Okay, I'm finished. I really hate numbers, but for some reason, the fact that this hard limit causes so much more that we may think is fascinating to me. The first Farlands appeared back when the first InvDev version was released, but looked much different from the ones we all know. During the majority of InvDev, this gigantic stone wall appeared at around 33 million blocks, and changed slightly between versions. The earliest walls are only made of stone, sometimes with varying patterns, because the caves generation from InDev wasn't ported to fit the infinite wall generation yet. It was fixed a month after, allowing for ore generation in the stone wall Farlands. On March 27, 2010, only 2 days later after re-implementing the caves, a major overhaul was made to the wall generation. Now using the 171.103 noise frequency for its main two noise maps, a far more familiar version of the Farlands appeared at around 12 million blocks, though it wasn't until the beta that the mess we all know took its current form. Of all the versions released before Minecraft's official launch, we still haven't talked about the alpha version yet. It brought cows, chicken, terrible boats, fishing, but also the Nether. Before its release, Notch hesitated for the name of this new dimension, first called Hell, then The Slip, to finally have its current name of Nether on October 2010's allowing update for Alpha 1.2. While it changed quite a bit over the years, the original Nether didn't have much to offer except new blocks and fast travel accessibility. However, something much cooler than expected could be done with the Nether terrain generation in this early build. Back when the Halloween update was released, both the user client and multiplayer server jars were updated, but due to the Nether being coded with single-player worlds in mind, it didn't contain the necessary networking code yet to work on multiplayer servers. Instead, a Hell World boolean was added in the server's properties. Turning this parameter to true changed the whole world into the Nether. Let me explain. Since the Nether couldn't be in its own dimension, it would instead generate new overworld chunks as Nether chunks. From netherrack and glowstone to pigment and ghasts, everything spawns normally just like a single-player Nether would. The entire overworld has the biome Hell, which means gas can spawn in old overworld chunks, for example. If you were to turn the setting off after loading some nether chunks, everything will stay, but the world will get its original biomes back. The nether mobs won't spawn again in the nether chunks nor anywhere, but the ones already present stay. And the best part of all that, it's completely transferable to the latest versions of Minecraft. You can have your own nether mess right next to home. We talked about the overworld and nether terrain generation, but how about the end then? Released just before the first full edition of the game in Beta 1.9 pre-release 4, the end serves as the final goal of Minecraft. The dimension was pretty straightforward back in the days. You're on a floating island in the middle of the void, surrounded by endermen and massive obsidian pillars, and you have to slay the dragon guarding the place. End credit. It didn't change a lot during the years until the revamp in 1.9, twice in 4 years to be precise. But way before these changes, a dangerous bug appeared out of nowhere for 1.2.9 snapshots. In 12W7A and 12W7B, if you were to enter the end dimension in a newly created world or in a previous world where you didn't go to the end beforehand, you would find yourself in a very unpleasant position. In these snapshots, the end island nor the pillars generate at all, leaving the player on a 5x5x1 obsidian platform surrounded by void, with a dragon that will likely push anything off said platform. The dimension will stay empty when upgrading through versions until 1.9, where it can be fixed by loading new chunks. The central platform and anything surrounding it on a 1000 block radius won't change, but the outer islands added in this update will start to generate normally past this point. For this last section, I want to showcase some previously possible invalid block placement. While technically this could be considered illegal blocks, updating most of them with another block will cause the invalid one to return to a normal state. Some mechanisms we honor today were coded differently back in the days, allowing for some funny placements, some of which can be transferred to the latest version. From Classic to InfDev, most plants could be placed on top of water or lava to replace it. When placed near a liquid, it completely stops it, just like any other block normally would. It stays consistent between versions, so pretty neat if you want to be like Moses. In some versions of InfDev, torches could be placed adjacent to water without the water destroying it. In mid-2010, cacti were added to Alpha 1.0.6, but possessed a small difference. They were full blocks, didn't grow and could be placed everywhere. They gained their sand requirement shortly after in Alpha 1.0.11, but these very wrong-looking cacti can be transferred to modern versions if not updated by another block. At their release in InDev and until the very last version until Minecraft's official launch, chests were also full block in size. This allowed notably vines to grow on them, but this was fixed before the official release. Before the flattening update in 1.13, it was impossible to place the chest next to a double chest. This is due to the game being unable to discern which chests should be fused together. From Alpha 1.0.5 to Beta 1.4-1, a weird glitch allowed for blocks to bypass update check by replacing liquids, fire or snow with them. This can be used to create glitchy chests. They all work together. It's also useful to make blocks that need support float in the air. You could make a flower chill in the sky, pressure plate, button, ladder, sugarcane, etc. Just take some ice or a bucket of water and let chaos reign. Speaking about chaos and water, in the first section of the video, while messing around with end portals in the nether, I cautiously took something that is finally coming to be useful now. Since the release of the nether in Alpha 1.2 and all the way until the 14W25A snapshot for release 1.8, two ways were found to make the wackiest dimension possible. Putting water in the nether. By using ice or the water blocks from the beta test build chests, you can simply just have fun and make an ocean in hell. Of course, if you transfer your nether up to the modern versions, it's gonna stay as such. While you can't effectively place water in the nether, the water already present isn't coded to evaporate. What a truly unique nether spawn! The last item of this video is pretty special. Technically, it falls into other sections and none at the same time. A simple block that generates only in some variant of a well-known structure, left by mistake and unobtainable elsewhere in the game. The snapshot 20W16A for 1.16 was released almost 5 years ago, which seems old enough for me to talk about it. This update introduced Bastion remnants, amongst other things, which can be found in 4 distinct variants. The Treasure Room variant spawns with a few lava pools in between the buildings. In one of the basins, a strange, almost unnoticeable block lies hidden in the lava. If we were to remove said lava, nothing would appear at first glance. But as you can see here, a hitbox is highlighted on pure air. Okay, let's make a little setup here. I'm going to keep the mystery a little longer, but don't worry, we're gonna do something cool. Let's get that invisible block back in the latest up-to-date version. We're gonna need a little bit of help from a recent version, the April's Fool update of 2022, one block at a time. In this version, dispensers were given a special ability. When activated, they now propose the block in front of them as a falling block on a short distance. This might seem useless at first, but it's actually what will allow us to see and collect our mysterious item. If we swap our current nether with the 1.61 and go at the previously mentioned location, the setup and invisible block are still here. Great! Now all we have to do is push the button and quickly hit escape. Save and close the game, and let's do the folder manipulation on a recent version. Upon arriving at the coordinates, the mysterious item finally reveals its form. The barrier block. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed going back in time to see these weird things with me. Minecraft is full of surprises, and we only covered a fraction of what's present in older versions. As usual, don't forget to like and subscribe. It will help me pay my rent one day, I hope. Feel free to check my other videos if you want more content like this. Also, another shameless plug, but I opened a Patreon a while ago. Anyway, that was Delta for Wormhole. Stay tuned.